Changing your entire financial life in 24 hours sounds kind of crazy. Kind of sounds like a scam, but it's not. And it's the way I managed to become financially free before the age of 25 years old. And I'm making this video for my friend. His name is Ronald. And Ronald always is telling me all of his stories about his finances, how things don't work out, how he started to invest into this course and do this one thing, but nothing ever works out. And every time I talk to him, it's like he's listening, but he's not really listening. So I decided to make this video to kind of just put it and lay it down. If you do this, Ronald, in 24 hours, your entire life can change. You can be a completely different person by tomorrow. But obviously, this is going to take a lot of work and a lot of effort. But the good thing is, we're gonna start small and then build up to the big stuff little by little. So let's get started. First thing is, when you wake up, do not grab your phone. It is not a good idea. I had the bad habit of whenever I wake up, I grab my phone because when I grab it, it wakes me up. But the problem is, it doesn't just wake me up, it keeps me on it for like the next 20 to 30 minutes, so sometimes even an hour. So don't grab your phone automatically. My recommendation is grab a book. You wake up, you grab a book. This is an amazing book if you want to read it. But the answer is just try to read one page. And then you start to try to read like 10 pages. 10 pages is an excellent starting point. But I know for some people that may be too much. But just get started and build up, okay? And you might think that reading 10 pages a day isn't gonna make a difference. But the average book is between 200 to 300 pages. Like this book, I think is like 200 pages. So literally in 24 days or like 30 days, you're going to be done with this book. And literally in 1 year, you could basically be reading about 12 books a year. Most people don't read a book after they graduate college or high school. So you would be way ahead of the game. And the reason you want to do this is very simple. Because the more you read, the more you learn, the more you start to change the way you think. We think that we think the way we think because that's just us. But the truth is, we think the way we think because somebody or the world taught us that. So we can learn those things by reading books about the things that interest us and the things that should interest us that we need to change. Now, the second thing is you want to spend part of the day meal prepping. And here's why. I know that kind of sounds kind of weird. Like, okay, you started off with reading, now you're on meal prepping. That's kind of stupid, right? But it's not stupid. And here's why. Because the average person, you're spending $20 to $40 potentially every single day, like on food. And you might say, that's not a big deal. I just don't have time to cook or anything like that. Well, that time you don't have to cook, well, it's costing you like $6,000 to $7,000 a year on that coffee, on that bad meal that you don't even like, that keeps you hungry after you eat it and makes you fat. None of that stuff is to your benefit. So my advice is, again, if you have to go to work at 9, if you don't have that much time, wake up early and meal prep. And here's something I used to do, which my cousin never appreciated and always told me I'm crazy for doing, but I did it anyways. And I would meal prep all the food I needed for an entire week. And he would tell me that is disgusting because you're eating the exact same thing every single day. I told him, yeah, but it works, okay? And it saves me time, it saves me money, and it also kept me in shape. So it's something I need to retake for the most part. And it's very simple. What I used to do was basically chicken and rice and vegetables. That is it. And you eat that every single day, you save money, and you get to be more fit. And this saves you not just like $10, it can save you $7,000 to $8,000 a year. So what would you do if you had $7,000 to $8,000 a year? I know what my friend would do. He would probably pay off his debts because he has some of them, okay? So pay off your debts or invest that money. It makes a difference. Cut your subscriptions. I know people have been talking about this a lot online, but I just want to make sure people understand why this is so important. Imagine if you're trying to save money and every time you have like $100, somebody comes in and takes 20, and then 30, and then 50, and then 20. Like, you have no money left. And that's exactly what subscriptions tend to do. If you have Netflix, you have Spotify, you have Apple Pay, you have, well, not Apple Pay, like, like the iCloud and all that extra stuff, it doesn't feel like it's a lot because it's just a couple of bucks, right? And how poor am I that I can't afford to pay $10 or $15 for Netflix? Like, come on, right? But the truth is that that's not the point. The point is, when you add up all of these subscriptions, the average person is spending over $200 a month, which is crazy. That is a ton of money. So when I called Ronald and I was like, yo, I want to buy something on Amazon, he was like, don't worry, I got Amazon Prime. I also got a Costco membership. I also have Spotify and Netflix and all this other stuff. I'm like, yo, Ronald, you need to slow down. You got way too much stuff. And don't get me wrong, okay? I also have a Costco membership, but that is it. I don't have any other subscriptions. I don't have iCloud or storage or online movie watching, none of that stuff. And you might ask, Tommy, well, what do you do? Okay, how is that possible? The answer is, for me and my family, if you want to copy us, you can if you want to. But if you just have like $20 and you go to Goodwill, you can basically buy, or like a vintage stock store, or just like online or on Facebook Marketplace, you can buy like 10 to 20 movies. Literally, okay? It's crazy, but you buy 10 to 20 movies, you are not gonna watch 10 to 20 movies in an entire month, okay? You're not gonna do that. So I store all of my movies, and whenever I wanna watch something or a show, I just put that in there and I watch that, and that's it. I don't need to have a subscription. Now, the cool thing is also that there are a lot of applications like Tubi and other ones out there that they allow you to watch shows for free. So if you want to watch a show, you can watch them for free. And also, it's not just Netflix, it's also your phone bill. Your phone bill can be very expensive. So if you're paying more than $25, I recommend you look into Mint Mobile, and I recommend you look into Tello, which are great companies where you're going to be spending less than $25 a month or $30 a month. And you're going to have unlimited everything. My advice is, stop worrying about having unlimited everything. Just get exactly what you need. And that can save you $200 to $300 a month, just like that, which is not that much money, but when you look at it in the grand scheme of things, it's thousands of dollars every single year. Make some extra money today, okay? I know people that they go to work and then they spend the rest of their day watching movies or on Netflix, cable, all that stuff. The answer is, sign up for a side hustle today and do that side hustle between 5 p.m. to like 9 p.m. It's only 4 hours, okay? But in those 4 hours, you can make an extra $100 or $200 potentially, depending on the side hustle you're doing, whether it's Uber Eats or Uber or delivering pizzas or doing something like that. On top of that, try to list at least 10 items in your house that you don't need or you should not want. List it on eBay, list it on Marketplace, and just try to turn all the stuff you basically have into money. It's a great idea. And what do you use that money for? You don't use it to buy more stuff or to have experiences. You use it to get free. So my advice would be, if you're going to be making an extra $50 to $100 today, well, use that money to pay off your debt or to help you save money for something that might happen in the future, like, like an emergency account, of course. And that is going to be very helpful. There are people out there, just like my friend Ronald, they're very good at making money. But the big problem is they don't know how to keep it. And I think the main reason people don't know how to keep money is because they don't value money. It's just paper to them. It's just a swipe. But when you understand that you're working so much to get this stuff, and then you're going to spend it on dumb stuff that's no use to you, well, you're less likely to spend it. And it's not just signing up for a side hustle or selling the stuff you actually have, but it's changing your job or asking for a raise. If you're at a job where you're getting paid 20 bucks an hour, but you know your job is worth $25 to $30 an hour based on the market and based on what you bring, the answer is, ask for a raise. Now, I'm not telling you that if your job is minimum wage and that is what it's worth to go ask for a raise, because you might just be laughed at. But if you know you have value in that job, Ask for a raise, because even a $5 raise, $5 extra a day, I mean an hour, is about like $40 extra every single day. That can be literally like almost $10,000 a year. So it can make a big difference. So ask for that raise. And if you know that and if they say no, for example, right? What do? Find another job that is going to pay you what you're worth. It's just business. Burn everything that is holding you back. This is the toughest and the hardest advice, and this is why I put it towards the end to build up to it. But sometimes people think that what you need is to make more money, but truly what you might need is to just get rid of the stuff that you have that is holding you back. So some examples are like, cut your credit cards out, okay? If you have credit cards and you're using them all the time, here's my recommendation. I would cut them, I would throw them away, and I would delete them from all my payment methods so I don't use them. And I would try to pay them off. Once they're paid off, then I would go ahead and cancel them completely so my credit score isn't going to take a crazy hit, especially if you're trying to buy a house anytime soon. Now, while we are on the subject of houses, my answer is, I know my friend, okay, Ronald, he has an apartment that I know he cannot afford, but he still has it, and it's for convenience. And my request is, consider moving, okay? Because Ronald lives in a place where he's paying a ton of money, but just 30 minutes away, there are houses and homes and apartments that can save him $500 to $600 extra every single month. That might not sound like a lot, but that is over $6,000 a year that you can actually have in savings to pay off stuff, to put down a down payment on a home, or things like that. And I have another friend that he has a house that he feels like he cannot afford, but he has to pay that mortgage every single month. And it is hard, okay? But you can always sell the house and move it into apartment. And you might say, well, aren't I like failing if I do that? The answer is no. If you sell something you can't afford and you don't need, and you put yourself into a position where you can save more money, have more free time, and build a better family, so then you can buy it the right way, that to me sounds smart. But it doesn't stop there, okay? I'm not just asking you to move or to sell your house. I'm also gonna say, sell the car. If you have a crazy car that has a loan on it, it's a crazy car, okay? Just because you had to borrow money to buy it. I would say consider selling the car, paying it off, and buying a beater. And now that you have $700 extra every single month, or $500 extra every single month that you're not putting down, for example, to pay somebody a loan, you can use that money to save up for a nice car in the future. And when you buy it, you can actually own it. I love people that buy cars and they drive that car until the wheels fall off, but they also try to take care of it so the wheels never fall off. And you see them with these cars that are 10 or 20 years old and it is still running and it is still awesome. And here's my last piece of advice for the day, okay? Because all this stuff, although it seems kind of extreme, you can do all this stuff in 24 hours if you want to. Obviously, you won't be able to sell the house or switch apartments in 24 hours, but you can start the search on Zillow and all that stuff, okay, today, and just start to calculate and organize yourself and say, if I do all this stuff, how much money am I going to save? How much money am I going to have? How am I going to feel? But the last thing is, have a vision board. That's one of the big things that helped me out. And my vision board, I put on there, the car I want to drive, the house I want to live in, the money I want to be making, and all these other things, and the relationships I actually want to have with God and with people in my life. And the general idea is, when you have a vision board, I also want you to put the price it's going to cost and the amount of life it's going to cost you. That's the thing that people don't think about. Like when you have a $50,000 car on your dream board or your vision board, and you think about you're making 20 bucks an hour, that's going to be a lot of hours to be able to afford that. So that's why the smarter I got, I just started to basically lower down my standards in a sense. Like I wanted like a Lamborghini Urus, and then that became a Tesla, then that became like a RAV4, and then it just became like a good, reliable vehicle. I wanted like a $500,000 house, Then it became a $300,000 house. Then it became the house I can afford to pay for in cash or pay it off in less than 15 years. You see, you start to stop being materialistic. Because when I say like I downgraded or I got realistic, it's not like to say like, oh, I gave up on all these things. No, what I actually did was I put things into understanding. If I'm able to have these things and not have to waste my life to acquire these things, then I can be free a lot faster.